The story of Prophet Musa, Moses. Early life, a divine protection. Our story begins in ancient Egypt, with the Pharaoh, plagued by a prophecy that a boy from the Israelites would dethrone him, ordered the massacre of all newborn boys of this community. But divine intervention would save a child, Musa, also known as Moses. Musa's mother, inspired by God, placed her baby in a basket and set it adrift on the river Nile to save him from the Pharaoh's wrath. As destiny would have it, the basket was discovered by Pharaoh's wife, who instantly felt compassion for the baby. She adopted him, and the baby grew up in the palace, unaware of his heritage. Discovery and exile, the unintended crime. As Musa grew older, he became increasingly aware of the suffering of his people, the Israelites, under the Pharaoh's rule. One day, witnessing an Egyptian soldier mistreating an Israelite, Musa intervened and accidentally killed the soldier. Fearful of the Pharaoh's retribution, he fled Egypt to escape punishment. During his exile in Midian, Musa found shelter with an old man whose daughters he helped at a well. He married one of the daughters and lived as a shepherd for several years, finding peace in the quiet life away from Egypt. The call of God, the burning bush. One day, while tending his flock, Musa noticed a fire in the distance, a bush that seemed to burn without being consumed. As he approached it, God spoke to him. The voice identified itself as the voice of God and revealed Musa's true purpose. He was chosen to rescue his people from their Egyptian oppressors. Armed with miracles, such as his staff that could turn into a serpent and his hand that would shine bright when placed under his arm, Musa returned to Egypt. He challenged the Pharaoh, asking him to release the Israelites and acknowledge the one God. But the Pharaoh, filled with arrogance, refused. The 10 plagues, a warning ignored. God sent down 10 plagues to Egypt, each a sign of his power and a punishment for their obstinacy. Despite the devastation caused by these plagues, the Pharaoh's heart hardened with each, and he refused to release the Israelites. The Exodus, journey to freedom. Finally, after the 10th plague, the death of every firstborn Egyptian child, the Pharaoh relented and allowed the Israelites to leave. Musa led his people away from Egypt, but the Pharaoh changed his mind and pursued them. As the Israelites reached the Red Sea, they found themselves trapped. But Musa, guided by God, struck his staff on the ground, and the sea split into two, allowing the Israelites to cross. When the Pharaoh and his soldiers attempted to follow, the sea closed upon them, drowning them. Receiving the commandments, a divine pact. Upon reaching Mount Sinai, God summoned Musa to the mountain's peak. There, he was given the 10 Commandments, a set of divine rules that formed the basis for the Israelites' moral, social, and religious life. These laws became the bedrock of their community and shaped their understanding of justice, righteousness, and piety. During Musa's absence, however, the people, led astray by a deceptive individual amongst them, fashioned a golden calf to worship. On returning, Musa was aghast at the sight of his people worshipping an idol, breaking the commandments that had been divinely bestowed upon them. In his anger, he threw down the tablets of the commandments, shattering them. A test of faith, the golden calf. Musa confronted his people about their idol worship, reminding them of the one God they had pledged to worship. His people repented for their mistake, realizing they had been led astray during his absence. God, in his mercy, forgave the Israelites and commanded Musa to carve new tablets, upon which the commandments were inscribed once again. The journey continues, 40 years in the desert. After that, Musa led his people through the wilderness of Sinai for 40 years. Numerous trials and tribulations marked this period. Despite witnessing miracles, the Israelites often struggled with faith, complained about hardships, and even longed for their past life in Egypt. Despite these challenges, Musa never wavered. He continued to guide his people patiently, instilling faith in God and demonstrating unyielding trust in his plan. He even had another encounter with God during this period, where he requested to see him. However, when God revealed just a tiny fraction of his divine glory to a mountain, it crumbled to dust, causing Musa to faint. This experience made Musa realize the impossibility of bearing the full manifestation of God's glory for any mortal. The end of a journey, Musa's death. After 40 years, just as they were on the verge of entering the Promised Land, God told Musa that he would not cross into the land but instead die in the desert. Accepting this, Musa died peacefully on Mount Nebo after having spent his life serving God and his people. Before he died, he named his successor, Joshua, who would continue leading the Israelites to their destined land. The legacy of Prophet Musa, Moses. Musa's life remains a testament to unwavering faith, strong leadership, and persistent advocacy for justice. He is respected and revered in various religions, including Islam, Christianity, and Judaism, as a prophet, a messenger of God, and a lawgiver. His story inspires millions worldwide, reminding them of God's mercy, power, and guidance. The remarkable miracles of Prophet Musa, peace be upon him. Prophet Musa, peace be upon him, known as Moses in the Bible, is one of the most prominent prophets in Islam and is mentioned frequently in the Quran. Allah bestowed upon him several miracles to help him lead the children of Israel out of slavery in Egypt and to convey Allah's message to the Pharaoh and his people. Here are some of the remarkable miracles of Prophet Musa, peace be upon him. 1. The staff. Allah gave Prophet Musa, peace be upon him, a staff. When he threw it down, by the command of Allah, it transformed into a serpent. This miracle was performed in the court of Pharaoh to show the divine origin of Musa's, peace be upon him, mission. When Musa, peace be upon him, picked it up, it reverted to its original form. 2. The shining hand. Another miracle given to Musa, peace be upon him, was that when he placed his hand under his arm and brought it out, it shone brightly with divine light but was not harmful or painful. This was another sign shown to Pharaoh. 3. The 10 plagues. When Pharaoh refused to free the Israelites, Allah sent 10 plagues to the Egyptians. These included locusts, frogs, blood-filled rivers, lice, hail, darkness, and the death of the firstborn sons. Each plague was a sign of Allah's power and a punishment for the Egyptians' disbelief and tyranny. 4. Parting of the sea. One of the most iconic miracles of Prophet Musa, peace be upon him, was the parting of the Red Sea. When the Israelites were fleeing from Pharaoh and his army, they reached the Red Sea. Allah commanded Musa, peace be upon him, to strike the sea with his staff, and the sea parted, creating a pathway for the Israelites to cross. When Pharaoh's army attempted to follow, the sea returned to its original state, drowning them. 5. Manna and quail. To sustain the Israelites in the desert, Allah provided them with manna and quail. Manna was a sweet, honey-like substance, and quails were sent for meat. This was a divine provision to ensure their survival in the harsh conditions. 6. Water from the rock. When the children of Israel were thirsty in the desert, Allah commanded Musa, peace be upon him, to strike a rock with his staff. Upon doing so, 12 springs gushed forth, providing each tribe fresh water. 7. Mount Sinai and the tablets. Allah summoned Prophet Musa, peace be upon him, to Mount Sinai, where he received the divine tablets containing guidance and commandments for the Israelites. During this time, the mountain was covered with a divine light, and the voice of Allah was heard, showcasing the divine revelation. These miracles of Prophet Musa, peace be upon him, serve as powerful reminders of Allah's might, mercy, and guidance, demonstrating how he supports his messengers and helps the oppressed against the oppressors.